The New England Patriots just got great news from head coach Mike Vrabel as he dubbed two players who are expected to return this week in practice and hopefully back on the field on Sunday as well. We talk about this latest development and all the injury news behind it right here on Patriots Digest. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews. Appreciate the support on our latest videos here on the show, and hopefully you're enjoying the content. If you are and you're not subscribed yet, go down there, hit that subscribe button, get your Patriots coverage for free right here on Patriots Digest. So we know the Patriots obviously are playing some exceptional football right now, and this past week against the New York Jets, it seemed like they almost unlocked a new form. Obviously, the loss of Milton Williams does hurt, but on the offensive side, we're looking at TreVeyon Henderson looking great. Drake Maye continues to shine, and I think, in my opinion, maybe a little biased, the front runner for the MVP. We know what we've seen out of Stefon Diggs, and this team is just going to get better as they get later on in the season and hopefully a little more healthy. And although you did lose Milton Williams for the next 4 weeks, maybe even longer, I do have some positive news for you here today, because in that game against the Jets and in weeks prior, there were a couple of key contributors on offense that were missing. The first and biggest one, in my opinion, is Kayshon Boutte. He was Drake Maye's deep threat throughout the first, 9 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it might be. And he's been out the past couple weeks, and it's, I'm not going to say affected the team in any way, but it's had Mac Hollins step up in a bigger role than what we may have expected. Well, that's where we got the good news this week, that it seems as though he will be back on the practice field. In fact, Kayshon actually tweeted out or had an update a week prior now, about a week and a half prior, saying that he hoped to play versus the New York Jets, but because of the short week, it's a question mark, but the expectation was he would return this week. Also looking like he will return this week is Boutte Stevenson. And while TreVeyon Henderson should 100% have the RB1 capabilities and play that way, I can't sit here and say that I'm not going to want Rhamondre. I want him on this team, especially when you talk about what could be a two-headed monster and Boutte Stevenson and TreVeyon Henderson, knowing what both backs can do. That really does change the way this team has looked. And that's exactly the way we got this update. Evan Lazar saying, quote, Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel said he would, quote, expect for wide receiver Kayshon Boutte, who had a hamstring injury, and running back Rhamondre Stevenson, who has been out with a toe, to practice on Wednesday. We have no confirmation of them playing. However, he did say, hey, we'll see how it goes from there. My opinion, though, Rhamondre and Kayshon, if it was a full week last week, would have practiced, would have had the ability / potential to play. Now we look at them and say, okay, Kayshon, I think, is a for sure go. Rhamondre, again, we do have to wait and kind of see how practice does. These are both two huge additions, but I got to talk about Kayshon Boutte first, because I don't think people realized how pivotal to this team he was throughout the first 9 weeks of the season. His average was 18.7. He was Drake Maye's deep threat through the first 9 games, and even though he's missed the past 2 games, he still has the second most receiving yards, just behind Stefon Diggs, who has 659. Kayshon Boutte has 431, with 5 touchdowns, still leading the team. 31 targets and 23 receptions is also a crazy ratio right there. So, I mean, he was supposed to be a first-round pick. That's what Boutte was labeled as if it weren't for his senior year and obviously some off-field stuff, but he is such a good receiver to have on this squad, and Mac Hollins has stepped up big. I'll start with there. In the past 2 games, he has done some fantastic things and really kind of become that deep threat role. But Kayshon Boutte has had a connection with Drake Maye, was obviously here last season, built that brotherhood, and I'm excited for him to return back to the squad. Speaking of Rhamondre Stevenson, TreVeyon is your bell cow back. He is. You cannot take that away. You cannot diminish that. You cannot change your mind about any part of that. But it would be hard-pressed to say that Rhamondre does not pose an impact to this team. Throughout 8 games, he had 448 yards on 83 rushing attempts and scored 3 different touchdowns. He averaged about 56 yards per game with 16 receptions, 17 first downs, and did have a 55-yard rush. But at the end of the day, I think we all, at the start of the year, really did expect for TreVeyon to be the guy when it comes to running the ball later on in the season. And last time I checked it, we're later on in the season now. I mean, we're talking about the last 6 games of the year at this point. So I really do want for when Rhamondre comes back, hopefully it's this week, for the Patriots to understand that this is still the team for TreVeyon Henderson. This is still the time for your rookie running back to succeed. And especially over the next 2 weeks. You have Cincinnati, who has struggled to say the least. Their defense isn't great. Flacco has been doing some good things. Obviously, they looked fine this week against the Steelers, but at the same time, I mean, they lost Aaron Rodgers in that game. New York is not very good. You do play them on Monday Night Football, though. Those 2 games you can kind of get a warm up. Then you have a bye week before you have probably the last, let's say the last, until the playoffs, two tougher games with the Buffalo Bills coming to your place in Gillette Stadium. You're trying to sweep Buffalo in the 2-game series this year. Buffalo looked pretty good against the Buccaneers. We looked pretty good against the Buccaneers. I'm very excited for that matchup. The fact that it's 11 a.m. is a tirade, but besides the point. You then go to Baltimore facing a now 5-5 Baltimore team with Lamar Jackson back and them seemingly found their footing. So definitely somebody to watch there. New York will be hopefully another easy win. Again, you'll play in New York, though, and you'll round out the season with Miami, who could have a chance to, make the playoffs in that last week with their schedule coming up together, the Saints and the Jets in their next 2 games. So they could make an impact as well. But either way, looking at the schedule, you should be able to allow for TreVeyon Henderson to continue to grow into that bell comeback and not worry about overusing him or that, because you can use Boutte and Stevenson. But also, it gets Kayshon Boutte back in there for 2 games as well and allows him to find his footing, allows him to kind of get back to what we saw from him in the first 9 weeks. And I guess I can sit here and say that I don't really necessarily say that he's going to come out here and not look the same as he did in the first 9 weeks. I'm just saying that coming off an injury, not playing for 2 weeks, especially being a deep ball threat and having that chemistry with Drake Maye and him kind of developing more of a chemistry with Matt Collins, I don't ever want to say an injury is a good thing, and it's definitely not in this case of Kayshon Boutte, but if you can look at the positive side of things, Matt Collins has really stepped up and shown that he can also be a threat. So when Boutte does officially come back, and especially once he gets to that full top-tier capacity, you're going to have Matt Collins, who you have now built a connection with. You're going to have Kayshon Boutte, who you built that connection with, and a whole encompassing wide receiver staff that trust the MVP in Drake Maye. That's exciting. That's very positive, and in my opinion, makes this Patriots team one of the most feared in the league. At least it should be. And they keep on discrediting our schedule. They keep on to discredit Drake Maye, but they're beating the bad teams the way they should. And then when they face a good team or a least decent team, they beat them too. You want to talk about the Bucs? They're not that good? Okay, the Patriots easily could have won that game by more. Be honest, they also could have ended the game earlier and not allowed for the Buccaneers to score that last touchdown. Like, there's other case scenarios that happen. But either way, big game coming up against the Bengals. I do think this is definitely going to be the harder of the 2 games against them and the Giants before the bye. Go out there, compete. Hopefully you have Kayshon. Hopefully you have Rhamondre. We'll keep you updated on their practice statuses come Wednesday and all the latest on the Patriots news. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and stick around for every single piece of content. We appreciate you watching, though, and we'll see you next time here on the show. Peace out, guys.